Carew Manor, one of the stately homes that's been around since the Tudor times, and not that far from London in today's standards. But it seems to have been around for so many centuries with so many stories that naturally it's got a few ghosts. So let's have a look. And welcome to the Bric-a-Brac shop. And this is the portal to the esoteric, encompassing the paranormal, the spiritual, the unexplained. And I'm Tom from the shop. So welcome. And I thought we'd have a look at Carew Manor. And it's spelled C-A-R-E-W, but everywhere I've seen, people have been pronouncing it as Carew. So let's go along with that, compared to some of my mispronunciations on other things that I've done. So Carew Manor in Beddington Park in Wellington, and that's just south of London. In today's standards, not that very far to get to, probably approximately about an hour or so. In Elizabethan times, it would probably have taken quite a few hours, and you would think they probably would have travelled by boat most of the times, because basically that's how a lot of travel was done on the River Thames, and it would have branched off up the river to Carew Manor. Now, if you like this episode, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe and press the bell and the notification button so you won't miss out when I release my videos. Now, Carew Manor dates back to about the 1300s. In fact, it's even mentioned in the Domesday Book. Now, basically, you could say, in short, that was the census of 1086 by William the Conqueror to find out who owned what around the area. And there's records of two Beddington estates that actually combined to form Carew Manor when the Carew family moved from France to London in 1381. Now the son, Nicholas Carew, he got the attention of the king, King Henry VIII, because he was good at the jostling matches and the tournaments, which King Henry VIII was, in fact, a very good jostler himself, if that's the right term for it. We all know as King Henry VIII as this big, large person, but he actually was quite fit and strong. He had an accident where he actually injured his knee, and that's when he stopped all his sportive work, and that's when he began to put on the weight. But getting back to Nicholas Carew, since he was in favour with the king, he was able to then rebuild Carew Manor. He even built the medieval hall, which is still there today, and it has the hammer beam roof. And this is a special type of roof structure where the beams don't actually go straight across, but sort of part of the way, and then another set is on top of it. And there's still quite a few around, but this apparently is quite well known, and it's still at Carew Manor. Now, in 1538, Thomas Cromwell thought Nicholas Carew was getting too popular, and he ended up getting him arrested, and he was executed. And he confiscated the land. However, as time went on, the king's daughter, Queen Mary I, she restored the land back to the Carew family, handing it back to his son, Francis Carew. And he started the orange farm, the orangery on the property. One of the first oranges to be grown in England. Now, Carew Manor being quite a bit of a way from London, it was a nice retreat for the king to actually go and spend some time. In fact, Beddington Park, which is where Carew Manor is, they actually turned into a deer park. And of course, the king would go hunting. It was also a favourite spot of Queen Elizabeth I, the king's daughter. And so would Sir Walter Raleigh, who was a statesman, a soldier, a writer, and a close friend of the Queen. However, he did fall out of favour because he started going out with the Queen's maid of honour, Elizabeth Throckmorton, and they actually had a child and secretly got married. The Queen found out and put him in the Tower, and Elizabeth Throckmorton was expelled from court. However, they seem to have genuinely loved each other because they still stayed together even when released from jail, and they stayed together right to the end. Even later on, when Sir Walter Raleigh was beheaded. And Elizabeth Throckmorton, she actually had his head embalmed and carried it in a handbag for the rest of her life. There probably was something there then. Now, the manor fell out of the Carew family when the last member actually went bankrupt with gambling debts back in 1859. And so the manor was sold to the London Asylum, and it was used as an orphanage asylum right until 1939. And then it fell into disrepair until now it is actually a school. But it's on Beddington Park, and you can walk all around the park. In fact, in the 1800s, there was even a moat or a lake. It depends on the research that I've looked up, but there's pictures that shows that there was a lake outside the front of a manor where the gates are today. Now, with such a long line of history, naturally, there's a few spirits around, and a few people have mentioned that they've seen a few spirits or experienced a few things. Now, a lot of it is recollections from people that had spent time there when they were younger, like Victor Beam. His grandfather was one of the gardeners on the property, and this was when he was a very young boy during World War II, and he remembers seeing the girls at the orphanage, and they all went away during the war. Basically 1939, they were all sent to the countries to be safe in case of the bombings, and during the bombings he would actually, and his whole family would hide in the cellars during the air raids. And he would recall that's actually when he remembered seeing a grey nun, a nun in a grey habit. And she would actually come by him and tell him not to be afraid. And he would always remember seeing her during the air raids, none of the other times. And it's quite strange that other people have actually seen this grey nun on the property as well. So who was she, and how far did she go back, and what was her time frame? It's very interesting. Probably it was during the orphanage times, because apparently there are stories of people seeing young girls around. So we don't know what happened to the young girls, or they probably obviously died, but there's been talk of seeing a few girls walking around. And there is a church next to Carew Manor, St. Mary's Church. And that church has been there from about the Tudor times. In fact, there probably was a place of worship there right until the Roman times, because they have found a Roman coffin there as well. But at the church, which is right beside the manor, people have noticed strange things around. But probably the most popular one is seeing Sir Walter Raleigh around the property and on Beddington Park. Now, there's talks of people have seen him and Queen Elizabeth I on their horses riding around, and this is more along the other side of Beddington Park, near Bunkers Lane. But I don't know about the story, because they've said they've seen him headless riding his horse, and also the Queen being headless riding her horse. But Queen Elizabeth I never lost her head. Usually the headless queen is usually referred to Anne Boleyn, her mother, but she wouldn't have been riding around with Sir Walter Raleigh, so I'm not really quite sure. But maybe if they were both riding around with their heads, it might be a different thing. But that's just one recollection that I've just found in my research. However, there have been other recollections on the ghost of Sir Walter Raleigh, because there has been a young boy back in the 70s who used to walk through Beddington Park, in fact, along the pathway beside the church. And it's changed over the years. In fact, he remembers the wall being quite high and him walking along the side of it. And he would hear footsteps and he would hear it getting closer, and he'd turn around and there would be no one there. And other times, one particular afternoon, he was walking by and he saw this man with a long sword, with long hair. And it could have been coincidence because it was the 70s. People did have long hair. But he was also a bit scruffy and in a particular style of clothing. And he looked like a swordsman. And he went home, told his father, and his father just said, "You've just seen the ghost of Sir Walter Raleigh." And so maybe it was. But that actual boy, who's actually featured in this article, Mysterious Mitchum, the figure in the alley, actually also had another experience with Sir Walter Raleigh. Apparently, when he was a child, he was having a tooth extracted, and he had the gas to put him to sleep. But apparently, they say, he actually almost died in the dentist chair. And they obviously revived him. But he sort of felt like he was falling down this hole, as a lot of people say, recall. And he sort of like thought he saw Sir Walter Raleigh reach down and pulled him back, and he came back and he was revived. And whether that's his imagination, it's hard to tell, but there's the reference to Sir Walter Raleigh. And apparently he has seen that ghost quite a few times. So what do you think? And another story, that in the churchyard, there is a tree that they say that if you walk around the tree 3 times after midnight, and I think it's on Christmas Eve, Sir Walter Raleigh's ghost will appear. Well, we don't know how true that is, because some people have actually done it and nothing has happened. But again, there's a lot of stories about the ghost of Sir Walter Raleigh and some strange feelings and eeriness at certain times. So, what do you think? Do you think Sir Walter Raleigh's ghost haunts Beddington Park and Carew Manor? Do you think the other ghosts haunted as well? Maybe. Maybe those girls were students at the orphanage and passed away. And also the nun. Who's to say? Who's to know? So what do you think? So that's Carew Manor. It's just south of London and it's very easy to get to. Just to go to the park. It is a school now, so it is closed off to the public, but you can easily walk around it. Now, I hope you've liked this episode, so please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet, and press the bell and the notification button. That way, you won't miss out when I do release videos. And I cover a wide range of topics, from the paranormal to the spiritual and unexplained. And also, if you want to contribute to the channel, buy me a drink. The link is below, and you'll be helping the channel and helping me as well. And have a look at our other links, like our online spiritual store. So, until next time, I hope you'll join us again. And until then, stay well and happy.